Christopher Nolan got one thing right in the Odyssey, and almost no one is talking about it. Everyone says the Odyssey is about one thing: getting home. And sure, that is certainly part of the story. But after watching Christopher Nolan's version, I walked away thinking about something completely different. What if the Odyssey is really about what happens when a leader becomes so focused on reaching the destination that they begin sacrificing the people making the journey? If you haven't read the Odyssey, do it. The book is incredible. And I know that comparing a 3-hour movie to one of the greatest epics ever written is totally unfair. But I think Nolan did a fantastic job in capturing the heart of Homer's story. No, not that Homer. But one decision he made fascinated me, because I think he actually subtly changes Odysseus. And honestly, I think Nolan makes him better. Most people remember Odysseus as the man who never quit. I mean, he survived monsters, storms, temptations, shipwrecks, everything just to get back home. And that is true. But if you've read the Odyssey, there's another side to him. Odysseus is brilliant. He's strategic, he's resourceful, he's exactly the type of leader people admire. But he's also willing to sacrifice almost anything to reach Ithaca, including his own men. And in Homer's version, every single one of Odysseus's men dies. Spoiler alert, they all die in Nolan's version too. And that raises a pretty uncomfortable question. If accomplishing the mission costs everyone on your team, is that really leadership? As an executive coach, I've watched leaders fall into that same trap. Not because they're bad leaders, but because they get consumed by the goal, the promotion, the quarterly number, the deadline, the acquisition, and the destination becomes more important than the people getting them there. And that's why I think Nolan's version is so interesting. Because instead of simply showing us a great strategist, he shows us a leader who slowly begins to change. We see it with Polyphemus, the Cyclops. At first, Odysseus doesn't really listen to his men. I mean, they come into the cave, they're a bit nervous, they start raising their concerns, but Odysseus ignores them. Now, leaders sometimes do have to make unpopular decisions. That's just part of leadership. But healthy leaders create a space for people to contribute. Healthy leaders are asking things like, what are we missing? What concerns do you have? What do you see that I don't? And we don't really see any of that from Odysseus. He acts as though he already knows what to do. And then his men start getting eaten. And it's only at that point that he becomes open to ideas. But by then, I mean, it's too late. One of the biggest lessons I've learned from coaching leaders is that your team almost always sees something that you don't, because they're looking at things from a different perspective. Leadership isn't about proving that you're right. Leadership is making sure you have enough perspectives to make the best decision. And Odysseus just hasn't learned that yet. He's still just trying to drag everyone back to Ithaca all by himself. And then comes the Strait of Messina. Odysseus has to choose between the giant whirlpool Charybdis on one side and then the 6-headed monster Scylla on the other. He knows exactly what's ahead, but his crew doesn't. He never tells them. Now, in Nolan's version, Odysseus suggests going around Charybdis, but his first mate Eurylochus is like, why would we do that when we can go through this canyon here? After Scylla takes 6 of his men, Nolan has this great line that changes the leadership conversation. Eurylochus turns to Odysseus and he says, you knew and didn't tell us? This isn't about Scylla. This is about trust. Imagine finding out that your leader knew what was coming. They knew and never gave you the chance to prepare, never explained the decision, never invited questions, never gave you a voice. Your agency wasn't respected. It was ignored. And I say this all the time in my coaching. Leaders don't give people agency. People already have agency. Healthy leaders amplify their people's agency. They give them context, information, clarity, and then they trust their people to make wise choices. But what Nolan did next really surprised me, because something changes for Odysseus. And for the first time, he stops trying to control his men. When they arrive at the island of the sun, he tells them everything. He tells them the prophecy, tells them the consequences, the danger they're facing. He doesn't hide any of it. He doesn't try to manipulate them. He just tells them the truth. The prophecy says they will all die. If you guys kill these cows, you will die. Does that change what happens? Spoiler again, no. They eat the cows anyway. But that's kind of the point. Leadership isn't about controlling people. Leadership is helping people make informed decisions. And sometimes people will make bad choices. As leaders, we have to make peace with that. Because people don't need us to make every decision for them. They need us to trust them enough to tell them the truth. And that's a completely different kind of leadership. And it's the first time in the movie where Odysseus isn't dragging people toward Ithaca. He's inviting them to walk beside him. And I couldn't help wondering, was Nolan intentionally showing us a different Odysseus? One who is finally learning that great leadership isn't measured by how tightly you control people, but by how much you trust them with the truth. As leaders, we're all headed somewhere. A promotion, a deadline, a bigger opportunity, the next chapter, and we're constantly asking, what's next? But maybe a better question is, who are we becoming on the journey? And who are we bringing with us? Because accomplishing the mission matters, but so do the people accomplishing it. And if your people don't make it to the finish line with you, maybe it's worth asking if you're the kind of leader they should be following. Maybe that's why this story has survived for 3,000 years. It's not really about getting home. It's about the kind of leader you become on the journey. What did you think of the Odyssey? Is Odysseus someone you would want to follow? Let me know down in the comments. And if there's a TV or movie character you would like me to analyze next, drop that in the comments as well. Until next time, take care.